Taylor, man, welcome to the podcast.
Appreciate you having me here.
Fantastic.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited about it. Excited to hear about your story. So we talked a little bit before we hit record just about kind of your background and things, but for those who don't know you, go ahead and just give us a brief overview of how you got to where you are today.
Sure. So I'm a Gulf Breeze native, grew up in Gulf Breeze, went away to school for a little bit over on the East Coast in Jacksonville and St. Augustine. Ended up finding my way back over here to Pensacola, and always kind of had an interest in real estate. So had a really good friend of mine, Kyle McGee with the McGee team at Webb and Rinke.
Oh, yeah.
And so I hopped on board with him, was able to get my feet wet, learn, the ins and outs of real estate, and kind of just took off from there. So after real estate, I did that for about a year with Webb and Rinke in 2019. Decided I wanted to try something different. Like we spoke about before, I was working on going into the military. Things ended up not working out with medical waivers, and started looking at other options. Was trying to get some health care, and that's when the mortgage side of things came up, and started working with Navy Federal there, and spent about 6-7 months working in the mortgage side of things, and then hopped back into real estate. I just loved real estate and couldn't get away from it.
Yeah, man, couldn't get away from it, he said. I feel like that's a good thing. A lot of people do it as a job, and it's obvious that it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those people who really enjoy it, and I feel like you're just kind of a upbeat, passionate guy in general, so it's obvious that enthusiasm comes across, and I think that definitely comes across when you're working with people, and that's attractive,
Mm-hmm.
So that was one thing you said. You weren't building relationships when you were doing the lending side of things. You're working with too many different people,
Right.
all over, spread too far, and the relationships is really what it's about. It sounds kind of cheesy, but it's 100% true.
It really is, and I think that's why a lot of the top producing agents and people that just really love, eat, breathe real estate. That's the one thing that they love, cultivating those relationships, getting out, meeting with people, and taking it from there.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so you said you had kind of a connection with Kyle McGee.
Mm-hmm.
So was that what made you jump into real estate in the first place? Is my voice a little too loud?
No, you're good.
Okay. I know you said you were interested in it. So what made you choose, like, from that decision of, okay, I actually want to get in real estate? Was it because you had that connection, or did you decide and then you're like, well, I know Kyle, he can get me started?
So that was definitely the leading factor, I guess, that got me into real estate. Reese Rinke of Webb and Rinke, he also is a good friend of mine, went to high school together.
Oh, cool.
So I'd always kind of like talk with him a little bit about
So you're
real
familiar with
estate.
it.
And right, exactly. Growing up around here, I always knew the Webb and Rinke name.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the ones that I always see in Gulf Breeze, Pensacola Beach, and so it's kind of just something that resonated with me.
Yeah.
And around the time that I was really seriously thinking about real estate, I reached out to some people. Kyle was one of them, and he told me, hey, I'm actually looking at putting together a team. If that's something you'd be interested in doing, get your feet wet, get you in the door, and go from there. So luckily, I was able to he was able to set me up a meeting with Robert Rinke, our broker, and things just kind of escalated from there.
Love it.
Got my license, and then jumped in head first. So.
Cool.
Man.
When did you get your license? You said you did it for about a year in 2019.
Mm-hmm. I think I started at the very beginning of 2019, probably in January. So
Okay.
I think I probably got my license active in December of 18.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
That was close to me. So,
Was it really?
Yeah, I did my pre-license course Christmas 2018.
Okay.
And then I passed my exam finally February 22nd of 2019. Yeah. So you're like a month or two ahead of me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. I mean, it's still a really good time to be in real estate. I know it's going to take a dip at some point, but it's been there's a lot of stuff going on. It's exciting.
And I don't know if y'all's experience with the courses and tests, things like that, were kind of how mine were, but when you're doing those pre-licensing courses and then the actual state test, it's completely different from the day-to-day real estate, what you're doing. I mean, it's just unreal. I had no clue. I was, 25, 26 whenever I was starting that. I've never purchased a house. I didn't really know what I was getting into, but that's why it helps out having the, surround yourself with good people that know a lot more.
You got to pick a broker who does a lot of business and is willing to train you. Mm-hmm. That's what Mark has been for me. I remember coming in here the day that I signed with him finally. I had met him once before, and I was like, I want to work for this guy. And then I came in here, and he's like, by the way, you just passed your exam. You don't know anything about selling real estate. Like, I know you're going to brain dump all that information from your test. Yeah. Try and retain as much as you can, but let's get you going on doing the day-to-day stuff. Mm-hmm. And it is totally different when you're doing the course, and he's actually about to do his course.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try and have him licensed in early 2021 as well.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. Awesome.
And that's what I told him. I was like, just do what you can to get through. Just get it done, because you're going to learn about townships and ranges, and you learn like what a mortgage is and different types of taking title and things. And then by the time you get licensed, you're like, all right, where's the clients at?
Yep.
And nobody cares that you just got your real estate license.
Yep.
Okay, so you were working with Kyle. What was your function on the team then? Were you just an independent sales agent doing your own thing, or were you like a buyer specialist or what?
So I did a little bit of everything. Mostly it was primarily buyers. I would do listing appointments. He and I would go on listing appointments together. I'd do them by myself, vice versa, that type of thing. But primarily it was to service the buyers that we had coming in. He also is a general contractor. He builds houses. Sunchase Construction. They have a lot of really nice, high quality houses that go up in like Cordova Park, all throughout Gulf Breeze, down the highway as well. And, it just got to be too much for him handling the real estate side of things and also the construction side of things. So that's kind of where I came in, right?
Gotcha.
To kind of take off some of that pressure.
Okay. Well, then that's actually, I feel like we can give a little bit of advice for people who are considering getting their license then, because both of us are pretty close to having gotten licensed. And I know you've been in and out, but I'm assuming your first few deals then came from leads that he gave you, or...
Yeah, so definitely the first few, and it was great because he was able to help me out with, walking through contracts and things like that, with
you really need your hand held throughout the entire thing.
Exactly. There's so many little things. If you, hit one box, that could mean, thousands of dollars for a buyer or seller, So you really definitely got to make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's, and having someone there helping you out the first couple of times really makes a difference.
Yeah. How did you feel your first deal?
How did I feel?
Yeah. Were you nervous?
I was definitely nervous. Okay. Yeah. And I can specifically remember the first listing appointment I went on, like your hands are like sweating. You're walking up the door. You're just like, oh, please be okay. You don't know what you're going to get. Yeah. But, just like anything else, really, the more that you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, and things just start to fall into place from there.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing because whenever you are new, your lack of experience is what scares you. And it's just like with anything, the more experience you get, whether good or bad, the more comfortable you're going to get.
Sure.
And the more comfortable you get, the more attractive you are to potential clients because you know what you're talking about.
Definitely.
But it takes time to get there, man. It takes time. So how long since, like, from the time when you got licensed to your first closing, how long did that first deal take?
It was probably about 2 to 3 months, I would say. And that's
a quick turnaround. Yeah. To be honest.
Honestly, the real frustrating part about real estate, for me at least, is it's not that you don't get, I'm not like, I want instant gratification, something like that. But, you don't see what you're working for today ends up panning out, months in the future. You don't have that instant return where it's like me being real. It's like, or me being new. It's like, am I doing the right thing right now? Like, why aren't these, buyers or sellers?
Off a little bit.
Right. Exactly. And then you just got to really just keep working, keep digging and, grinding. And that's when all the work starts to pay off.
Yeah. They say what you do now will show up in like 90 days. I think that's what it is. Yeah. And that's just a rule of thumb. I mean, it's interesting though, because from the time you got to find a client, and then you got to work with somebody who is ready to do something now. And then when you find someone who's ready now, say you get them under contract, it's at least another 30 days. And a lot of times more than that, especially now, at least another 30 days before you close. And that's barring any major complications in the sale. So it's tough. And that's something that people ask me often is when you first get started, how did you support yourself during that time? What were you doing? Did you have like a nice little nest egg saved up, or?
So I did. I did have some money saved up. I was able to, make last in that time that I needed it. And also when I first started out with Kyle, I was also doing some other like back end stuff for him on the construction side of things. So he was helping me out a little bit there too.
That's great.
And then after that first closing, I was like, okay, I didn't figuring out what's going on exactly, and so from then on out it was just pretty much commission after that. So.
I love that. Awesome, man. And I know Levin Rinke has a really good setup. Are you 100% commission now? I know you're on a team, but I think the brokerage itself is 100% commission, right?
So you start out 70-30 basically, and then you're capped, and then once you hit that cap, then you start going to the 100%.
That's awesome. That's just a driver to produce, really.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. So your first year in, and I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, but how much volume did you do? How many transactions?
So total between he and I, it was right at $9 million. I want to say it was. It could have been plus or minus, some change here and there, but I want to say it was $9 million.
Yeah, good for you.
We did.
That's in the, top 95% probably of agents.
Well, it helped out too, having someone that's been in it, has experience building houses, doing, both sides of things.
Yeah, I feel like being a general contractor, that adds so much value.
It really does.
and also, he's doing other things on the side and making money that way, but it really does make you more of an asset to whoever you're working with.
For sure.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when did you decide then to try mortgages? You said you did it for about a year. Was it beginning of 20?
It was beginning of 2020.
Okay.
I did it for like 6-7 months.
Okay.
About there. And I mean, it's a really long process as far as like the training goes from the time that you actually, you sign your paperwork. Yes, I want to work for, Navy Federal. And then you have to go through the whole training pipeline. And of course, things got messed up too with COVID. We had to start going all remote. And that really threw a wrench in things because when we're supposed to be doing shadow days and actually learning the systems hands-on. Yeah, exactly. We're stuck on a computer with a headset and a mic trying to, learn,
Yeah.
So
his wife is going. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say she's a mortgage processor for Navy Fed, and she's on week. I think her last week of training.
Oh, really?
And it's been challenging.
Yeah.
Not being virtually. It's just so much different than being hands on. But she's doing okay. But it's definitely been a test for her.
Yeah. Well, stick with it. It's it'll definitely pay off. Navy Federal is a great company. Great benefits, great culture, everything like that. So
that's good advice. Yeah. Coming from someone who's actually worked there. Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I did the processing side of things.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that in itself will give you more knowledge as well as to the behind the closed doors of the lending side of things. You'll know a little more of the process.
It is. And that's the great part. I look at it and all the other jobs that I've had, they've been years that I've held those jobs. And so it was kind of like disheartening when I'm like, I really just don't like it. Yeah. I really just don't enjoy the mortgage side of things. I want to get back into real estate. And so it was hard, to leave after that short of a time.
Yeah.
But everything does happen for a reason. And, the silver lining of it is I've, got a lot of experience on that side of things, especially being in the actual, being in the trenches, for lack of better terms, the nitty gritty. You're handling all of the information that comes through. You're like the main point of contact for the client, as well as like underwriters, loan officers, that type of thing. So,
yeah, it's a lot to handle.
It is. And I feel like there's so many hands in every transaction. There's so many people to coordinate, and probably, I feel like the processors get kind of a hard time from everybody, from the clients and from the realtors and title, and everybody's waiting on that clear to close. So you guys are
Yeah, definitely. And like with most lenders, like local lenders around here that I like working with, the client always has contact with the loan officer. That's pretty much the main source they go to for questions, problems that should arise, things like that. At Navy Federal, the processor is who deals all that stuff. So the loan officer, sets up the loan rate, all that stuff, basically just hands it off to the processor. And then from then on out, you're that one point of contact with the client, underwriter, closing department, all the managers.
Everybody.
And there's so many different departments there. It's
and
unreal.
you have no rapport built with them. They're being kind of passed off to you.
Yeah.
I know that's one thing that a lot of people don't love about Navy Fed. I say don't love. A lot of people really don't like about Navy Fed is they feel like they're dealing with so many people. And reality, you're not. But you just, when you see a new name, it's like, oh, I don't know them,
Right.
And it's easy to make them kind of the brunt of your frustration. So it's tough. And my respect to anybody who not only does it, but enjoys it and does well at it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not for everybody, as we have seen.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So, Jojo, if you're listening to this, keep on going. Keep on trying.
That's right.
And for you, actually, I feel like you should move the mic a little more in front of you.
Okay.
Because when you're pointed to him, it's a little more quiet.
Okay.
I think I'm a little louder than you guys. We'll just cut that out. So, awesome. That's exciting. So you're just back into the real estate side of things. I mean, pretty fresh.
much. Yeah.
Are you back on Kyle's team?
No, I'm doing it independent now by myself.
Okay.
Yep. So single agent. And that's one of the things that it kind of stuck out to me is before, it's not like I'm owning my own business because I'm working with somebody, for their business. And I kind of wanted to be that self-starter, go out, do my own thing and, reap my own rewards.
Yeah.
So.
Good for you.
There's something so attractive about you're a business owner within a brokerage, but you're the one responsible for your own lead gen, accounting, follow up, everything.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that when you get into real estate, I say this all the time, but there's so much to learn.
Definitely.
You finish your course and now it's like, oh, okay, now you have to learn contracts.
Now I learn real estate.
Yeah, now you learn real estate. So I think that's we had just talked about that recently. Because I have a few friends who are dabbling and considering getting into real estate. And my advice to them would probably be work on a team for a little bit, just so you can learn the ropes. And then if you want to go out on your own, you're still providing value to whatever team leader, they're training you, but you're doing work for them. And then once you learn things well enough, then you can branch out on your own. Because it's difficult to just be thrown out in the deep end and you're just like, oh, here you go.
And it really, I mean, from a client side of things, it makes them a lot more comfortable dealing with someone that, they're like, okay, they know what they're doing. They're confident. They've done this before, if they have, even if they're a newer agent, but they're working with someone that, is experienced versus someone, like me, if I was just working by myself when I first started, go to my first appointment and like, okay, so, what are we doing for repair limits? What are we doing for, things like that? It's like, well, I don't really know. Once you start to get those ins and outs and learn everything, it really pays off.
Then you can convey. Yeah, I think I've been lucky by working with Mark because he essentially was that team leader for me while I was able to still build on my own. And that definitely was. Now, how's the support at Levin Rinke? Can you go to Robert, to your broker, and ask him questions, or do you have to rely on other people that you trust?
So it is amazing, and that's one of the reasons why I love Levin Rinke, and one of the reasons that I chose Levin Rinke, besides already having people that worked there. The training that they offer is, I haven't found it, in my searching when I was looking at different brokerages, I didn't find another broker that offered the training, the amount of training and the quality of training that they offered. Right now during COVID, we have 3 weekly meetings that go on. We have a motivational Monday. We have a typical sales meeting on Tuesday. And then we also have another little secondary training session on Thursdays that we'll do too.
Wow. Now, are those voluntary or?
They're voluntary. Yeah, you don't have to go to them. There are certain meetings that we do have to attend each year, just general broker information meetings, things like that. But everything else is completely voluntary. The thing is, you don't get anything out of it if you're not there attending. Even if I can't attend in person, we always stream them and then upload to our private Facebook page so we can go watch it. If you already got stuff going on during that time. That's something that's great too.
Yeah, that's really good. Training is so important, and I know a lot of brokerages advertise that they have great training, but not everybody does. And I think definitely working with a local brokerage, that's valuable as well, because they've made a name here, and nobody in Montana knows who they are, but that doesn't matter. They're servicing people here, and they're experts here. And that's good for you to be able to leverage that as well.
It's great too from a marketing standpoint too, because we have a full marketing department team, and so they're always pumping out new content, doing advertisements, and
I see their stuff all the time.
Yeah, they're creating stuff for us to use as well. So it's not like they're just looking out for their own interest. They actually want to help out every single agent in the brokerage, even if you're you could be a 20 year plus veteran that's been doing real estate forever. You could be someone that just got licensed, and they treat you all the same. They're always there to help and be that hand if you need it. So.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for you. So
thank you. Appreciate
what does your day-to-day look like now that you've gotten back into it? What are some things that you're doing with your time now that you're not on a team and having somebody, I don't know how it was before, but somebody's not really handing you leads or telling you what to do?
So the biggest thing, I think as a realtor, we're not in the real estate business. We're in the lead generation business, the prospecting business. I think that's probably the best thing that you could do with your time, especially being a newer agent or getting back into it. Even experienced agents, they always got to be staying on top of prospecting and, getting new clients. So that's what I've been trying to spend most of my time doing. And I was very big into door knocking before, and I got quite a bit of business from door knocking.
Really? Okay.
But now it's kind of hard. You can't really, people don't really want you going up, knocking on doors, random people. They already didn't like it. It's always like a gamble each time you go up to a door. It's like, well, I'm either going to get cussed at, or they're going to be, but you do get those nice people that really actually are happy to see you and talk to you and have a conversation. So that does really make it all worth it. But so getting back to your question, the prospecting is a big part of my time that I do. I've tried to get into time blocking now. I think, the different podcasts and things that I've listened to, they really speak highly about time blocking and making the most of your time. And, if you're not tracking your time and what you're doing within those blocks, then you see a lot of wasted time that you could be, using to, either get yourself out there.
Else.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I've really been trying to do, and just, meet new people, keep, relationships, reaching out to you like when was it, like a month or so back?
Yeah, it was a little while back. Yeah, I was happy to hear from you.
Yeah, it's been a little while. So just kind of like pretty much, rekindle all that stuff, get back with the people that I've, done business with and get back out there.
Yeah.
Exciting, man. Well, I wish you the best. I hope you're busier than you can handle.
Yeah.
Seriously.
If there's ever a time,
that's a good problem to
it's
have
right
in real
now.
estate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what we were talking about today. Well, in relation to his wife actually, struggling with training, and I hope she's not irritated at me for bringing this up again, but it's a good problem to have. If you feel like, man, I'm overwhelmed with this training, that means you're at a job that's pushing your limits, and that's a good thing.
And that's like one thing too, is so many people just want to stay in their comfort zone. And I was one of those. Like I don't like change necessarily, but it's one of those things where when you start to push yourself out of your comfort zone, you start to experience different things, you start to grow, and it's like, oh, well, this really actually wasn't that bad. When I was thinking
and to be honest, we had a long conversation about this afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I feel like it's somewhat, that personal growth is addicting to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you start pushing yourself and you face something that you're worried about or scared about, or you feel like is out of your comfort zone, and then you overcome that, your thought is like, wow, I faced something difficult,
it's very rewarding.
I overcame. Yeah, it's very rewarding. And then you want to seek out the next challenge and do something else that's big. And it's just like dominoes. The more things that you seek out and the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone, that's where the big things start happening.
Yeah.
It really is.
But it's not something that a lot of people, like you said, I think all of us like to stay in our comfort zone, and it's not a muscle that people exercise very often,
right?
But it's very valuable,
and it's something that you hear people talk about all the time, and it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, you say it all the time, everyone knows that. But in real estate, I definitely really understood it once I was out doing the door knocking. Hated it, didn't like to do it. But then you start actually getting business coming in off of it, and then, like you said, it's a domino effect, almost like a snowball. Yeah, exactly. And then, stuff starts to pile up. And then as soon as you know it, you got a full pipeline. You're working buyers, you're working sellers, doing showings all throughout the day, things like that. So,
man, yeah, I'm getting excited talking about this. I know. Yeah, he could see. So do you have any deals going right now, or are you still kind of in a rebuilding?
Yep. So right now I'm in a process where most of the deals, like I consider them like, they're not like A leads, like hot leads, like looking to, buy or sell tomorrow. But I have about 3 or 4 that are going to be within the next 3 to 4 months.
Okay,
great.
So yeah,
that's where it all starts.
Yeah, beginning of the year, I have 2 listings that are going to be, going active. I have a couple people that I'm working with. Well, I have a buyer that I'm working with. I got from like open house, things like that. But just trying to piece it together, get back into it any way I can.
I think. And I'm sure it feels good for you going out and getting them yourself and bringing them in. And now you have a connection with them. You're building a relationship and showing them your value. Yeah. We get a good amount of leads from Mark. He doesn't pass them to everybody. He passes them to people that he trusts. And I treat those people like I know Mark would. But also when I get a referral from a past client, or, somebody calls me because they saw anything, it's like, I'm bringing in this business. This is exciting.
Yeah, it's satisfying.
It's empowering.
Yeah, empowering. That's exactly right. And I just think the longer you go and the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone, again, the more things start to compound. And then you see these people who've been in the real estate industry for 10, 15 years. And it's like, wow, man, I would love to be like that.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, one of my, I was going to say man crushes, but maybe that's a little, Mark Lee, do you know Mark?
Yes.
Okay. I've never met him, but, I think I did a deal with somebody on his team at one time. But that's he's really who I aspire to be in a lot of respects. I think he's the number 1 producing agent here.
He is. He's a great leader. And, I don't know him that well. I just know him through like sales meetings and stuff like that when I was doing real estate previously. But I've talked with him, Gary Michaels, and Jeremy Johnson has now just joined.
I met Jeremy,
yeah, Jeremy's awesome. He's actually gave me a referral a couple weeks ago. So
wow, cool.
Works out like all these little things, getting back into it, making those connections again. It really starts to pay off. But no, they are awesome. The Mark Lee team, it's a great team, great setup. They definitely are, I consider them they're kind of like the gold standard, I guess, in real estate here, for me at least. You know?
No, I agree. That's cool. And I think, honestly, that speaks volumes to you as well, that Jeremy used to be the sales manager over there, didn't he? I think I met him when he was sales manager.
Yeah.
Okay.
He still handles that. I don't know if his I don't know if his like titles changed or anything since
Sure.
joining the team, but no, he still handles like our sales meetings and stuff like that. So
Well, that means a lot that he passed you a referral. I think when older agents see somebody younger who has, maybe they're too busy to handle certain things, or everybody that comes through. But when they see someone who's working hard, it means something that they thought, I'll send that to Taylor. I know Taylor will take care
and
of
I
him.
appreciate that. More than that. That means more to me than a lot of things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, agreed. Well, that's awesome, man. So you're doing real estate and trying to get back into the swing of those things. What else are you doing with your time? What do you enjoy doing?
Well, fishing. Like going on the boat, fishing, here being on the Gulf Coast, how could you not love being on the water?
You gotta do stuff on the water,
things like
yeah.
that.
Oh,
Yep. Being all around or being from here, I was always on the boat growing up. My father was very, very big on the water. He worked FWC for 33 years, so always was able to learn a lot about boats and just being here local. I mean, I can't think of a better place to enjoy the water as well as everything else that we have here to offer.
Yeah, it's so close. The water's so close, and also there's a lot to do in town too.
Yep.
If you want to go out on any given night, there's something that you can go do.
Yeah.
We were just talking with Walker Wilson on the last podcast, and that's one thing that he was saying is he wants Pensacola to be a place that's attractive to young people rather than moving out to bigger cities like Atlanta or Charlotte or different places. And I thought, man, I like it here just fine. Yeah. I like it a lot.
Plenty to do.
Yeah, plenty to do. So that's cool.
Something that was very interesting to me was a lot of my friends that ended up moving, either for college or right after college, moved to bigger cities, Orlando, Tampa, Knoxville, other places like that. A lot of them end up finding their way back here just because they loved it so much.
That's interesting.
And it's something that I really didn't, appreciate growing up here. I mean, it was kind of something that I've just always been around. It's like, okay, it's a beach, it's white sand. Yeah, I've had that every single day that I've been here.
Yeah.
And then when you actually when I moved away, went to the East Coast, sure, you have beaches over there, but it's not the pristine white beautiful sand. It's not the emerald water. The water's cold over there. Sure, there's better surfing, but there's a lot of stuff.
Do you
here
surf at all?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Well, not anymore, really. I used to all the time growing up, and when I lived on the East Coast, I did. But ever since I got back to here, like going from the East Coast back to the Lake of Mexico, as we call it, it's like really the waves. It doesn't even compare.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be anything that I really dip my toe into because I've heard the surf here is terrible.
Yeah.
I see people out doing it, but I'm like, so you saying the surf is better on the East Coast? I'm like, that's fine. I'll take that L.
Yep.
Oh man. Well, before we wrap things up, I would like to just get your input, and obviously you're still kind of figuring things out, but you've left and come back to the real estate industry, so you have very valuable experience, I would say. So what tips would you have for anyone who's considering getting their license, or if somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a realtor, what would you say? What would that look like?
So the biggest thing that I would say is if you're going to do it, go all in.
Great advice.
Don't just go 50-50. I understand there's certain situations where someone might have to work a different job to make ends meet, and then they want to get into real estate and, on the side. But if you're looking to get into real estate full-time, 100%, that's what you want to do. Just jump both feet in, join a team, interview different brokers and brokerages, see what kind of fits your culture, fits your lifestyle the most. Each broker is a little bit different as far as fees, if they, expect you to be working every day, if you're kind of on your own time, that type of thing. And just don't give up. That was one of the biggest things for me is whenever you're working, a couple months, you don't see things coming in. You just got to keep in mind, hey, I'm not working for what's going to pan out tomorrow or today. I'm working for what's going to end up coming to fruition, in a couple, 2, 3, maybe 4 months from now, even longer sometimes. Plenty of times it's, it happens 6 to 12 months out. But I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. I would say just keep your, foot on the gas, all gas, no brakes. Just keep going,
Life in the fast lane, man.
Exactly,
Get it done.
Exactly.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I think, just that, like you said in the very beginning, you don't get that instant gratification. And I think a lot of people, when they get their real estate license, number one, like we talked about earlier, they think the clients are going to come to them because I got my real estate license, let's do something. And you really got to go into the marketplace and provide value because I think there's like 3,000 other realtors here, maybe more, and just in Pensacola. So you really got to differentiate yourself, and that's hard to do. And it's hard to do that and know that you're doing the right thing for months at a time.
Definitely.
you know, and kudos to you. You had a little bit saved up and you were able to find other ways to, that's exactly what I did. I worked a couple other jobs in the off hours, in the evening hours or early morning hours, to just get myself through that first check. And once I got that first check, I was like, I am out. I'm going to do this. This is awesome.
It's different though, you know, 'cause just me, you know, all of us being younger guys, like I said, I've never purchased a house before. And so me first getting into it, just didn't really know what to expect. And, kind of one of those things where you don't know what to expect. You don't know what you're getting into. You're trying to make the most of it. You're trying to learn, you know, every single day, what to do, what not to do, and just, you know, be a better person as a whole.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, like you said, you're trying to learn what to do, what not to do. And it's just, you have to commit to learning. Yeah. And you have to commit to, honestly, being the new guy for a while and just looking stupid while you ask your questions.
Yeah, that's part of it.
I was telling him the other day, I was like, I wish when I first got licensed, I would not have been as scared as I was to just ask questions. Because when you're new, you can be like, I don't know what this is. And people will
understand.
People will understand. But as you go longer and longer, if you keep kicking that can down the road and not asking those questions, then it's going to come a time where you're like, I feel like I can't ask this. I've been licensed for too long.
Yeah.
So, and in any job, you reach a point one day, you just wake up and you're like, I'm pretty comfortable doing what I'm doing. I say this all the time. Danny's probably sick of hearing this, but you just wake up, and that's what we were talking with JoJo about and a couple other friends that we have who are working jobs. It's like if you commit and you're learning from the right person and you just put your head down and work, like you're saying, then you will get through it and you will be comfortable doing your job and you'll be great at it.
Yeah. I think for me too, it was completely different from how I had interpreted real estate being. Like you said, you know, people don't just come to you like, hey, I found
you're
you.
Not on Selling Sunset. You're not a rock star.
And that's one of the biggest things too, is all the HGTV stuff, and, you know, the selling,
it's not real life.
All that. Exactly. You know, they're like, you know, they're working with a client, the wife like grooms dogs, the husband sells trinkets, and their limit's like $2.5 million. Like, okay, that happens.
Yeah.
But no, it's just staying steady. You know, always be willing to learn.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest thing.
That's lifestyle advice too. Not even in real estate, but the more you commit to learning and asking better questions and getting good answers, the further you're gonna go.
Sure.
Yeah, so. Well, I love it, man. Taylor, I appreciate you jumping on the podcast. Is there a place where you prefer people to get in contact with you? Where can you be reached? Social media?
Well, I have Instagram, Facebook, Taylor Webb, Webb and Rinky Realty. That's my Facebook profile. And Instagram, you can just search Taylor Webb. I'm on there, and you'll find me. So.
Cool.
Perfect.
Well, we'll throw your links in the description as well for the video, and then we'll try and do that on the description of the audio as well. So I'll try and send some traffic your way, even though we're a little bit in competition. I still hope you do well, man.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me on and everything. It's a pleasure to be on here.
Awesome. Well, we'll have you again. Thanks, Taylor.
Awesome. Thank you.